Hey everyone, and welcome to Ink Spotlights from Comix Wellspring. This is the series where we shine the spotlight on immensely talented creators who work with us. And today we're joined by Seth Abair to talk about his projects, his journey, and a little more. Seth, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell us all about what you do?
I like to do comics, but I also design merch and stuff like that for people on YouTube and TikTok as well.
Cool. How do you
So,
blend your world of like designing merch and comics into together into your life?
so I used to be a tattoo artist for about 11 years. And so basically, like if you take like a tattoo design, you can turn that into like a keychain or a sticker or a t-shirt like pretty easily. So it kind of they both kind of translate pretty well from one to the other. And I've always been into comic books and stuff like that and drawing them. And so I just take that same kind of aspect of working in comics and being able to do like different panels of things and can turn it into different merch ideas.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant. Honestly, and that's the coolest thing about I think, being a music fan and a comic book fan too is that musicians have such cool merch and we're able to kind of like take what they do and manipulate it into comics. And I think that's where the coolest realm of merch kind of lays is when you have those connections of good graphics and understanding comics, but also the design that goes into that as well, which is kind of rare to be honest for a lot of creators. They're good at art and crafting things, but sometimes the designs for merch just kind of fall short on some aspects. So having a keen eye, I think, bolsters your brand just a little bit more over all that.
Uh, 'Cause a lot of times you got to work in like lettering and stuff in there too, or a logo, and
Hmm.
so it kind of comes in handy being able to do that. Kitty cat.
Yeah. Oh, my cats are gonna pop up. T'Challa, come on, dude.
Oh, mine's back there. She'll
I
pop
just
up, I'm sure.
saw her stretching right now, and I was like, "That's awesome." They're all gonna say hi, probably over camera. Why don't you tell us all about your book, though? I would love to hear more about that. So with the audience.
So currently, the book I got is Hell's Bells. I think my camera went a little bit there. But this is actually a series that I do the official artwork for and merch for on TikTok. It's owned by See Ya Later on TikTok, JC Lynn. She actually just had a novel come out and she got signed for a full trilogy set for her novels.
Ooh.
Um, but yeah, it's all based on her characters. And this was like the very first little fan comic. Like it was the first episode she had done of the series. It was kind of like a little one off. And I did a little fan comic of it and it grabbed her attention along with everybody else's attention. It kind of went mini viral. And so she contacted me about doing some merch for her. And so we've been working together ever since, going on 3 years now. And basically, I get free reign to do some little comic strips and the comic book, as well as some other designs to sell as merch and stuff. And, she kind of backs that up. And so it's been a pretty nice little working relationship.
Dude, that's awesome. And it's one of those things too where you always hear how interesting it is where people get into making comics. And it sounds like you pitched this to her. Like you were a fan, you made this comic and you wanted to send it off and you got lucky and it ended up turning into something bigger than you ever imagined. Is that right?
Yeah, so everybody kept asking like when are they going to have a manga or are you going to have a comic book or whatever, and so she kept directing them to my page and whatnot, and eventually I'm like, well, you know what, I can start doing like the little comic strips here, and then eventually I had enough of them to print in a book, and so this is the second run, and this one I actually added a whole nother little section. It's like kind of done in the style of Vox Machina. And it's like all the characters if they were playing D&D, and
Dude, that's so
there are
cool.
little interactions with like some of the items that they get in the story, and they're all kind of loosely based on D&D type items.
Oh. Dude, that's so cool. Way to blend worlds and find opportunities for yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things to take away there is like you really did like create an opportunity. You didn't wait for something to come your way. You didn't like, ask for permission. You kind of just went out there and did it and saw the outcome of it. And that seems to have paid off. And I really love that. I kind of like, I think a lot of more artists who are looking for work or trying to get things going, going that direction and following what you did here is very, just admirable and also like outside of the box thinking. And I think that's what's driving yourself to like get a gig and kind of move forward with that. I mean, I've never really heard of an artist doing it in this order, but dude, that's kind of brilliant, honestly. Like you made it work for you, and that's so cool. Do you have anything else in the works in the pipeline that you're making yourself or other collaborative projects?
So I've had a comic that I've been working on for years, and I've been trying to find the perfect writer for it. I've been through a couple of writers, and now I'm just kind of like I'm probably just going to doing the writing myself. Um, but it's called Incorporeal, and it's essentially about an imaginary friend who has to make a deal with a demon to go rescue his human from another demon. And I've been working on it for far too long, but I'm working on the outline right now and redoing the character art and kind of updating that and adding some more twists and turns that I really wanted to put in there originally. And now I've kind of gotten a little more confident in my work to be able to do that.
Dude, that's awesome. What was your first hesitation about not writing this series yourself since you draw?
I have extremely bad ADHD.
Vibes. I feel you
I
there.
can sit and focus on drawing for hours on end, but when I sit down to try to get any writing done, I end up cleaning the bathroom or the living room or whatever. So it's one of those. It's hard to focus on the writing aspect and everything, and my grammar is horrible and stuff like that. So I was worried that it's not going to be all that good, and I should hire somebody who professionally like that's what they do. But at the same time, I hate relying on other people and waiting on other people. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm probably just going to end up doing it myself and just hire someone to do the editing and everything for me like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a great plan in itself too. I understand your ADHD situation as well. That's me in life. It's so hard to just. I want to do this thing. I really love to do it. I sit down and do it and be like, I do need to like start laundry though. And then and you spiral, and now you're in the kitchen and things are undone and laundry started, but then you forgot you're upstairs, and then you try to go upstairs and like, oh, I should sweep the stairs real fast, and everything just happens like that. I completely understand. I've kind of learned myself to do like a page a day goal, and to be like, even if I just do an outline of a page, at least I outlined it and I just fill in the dialogue, or I just beef it up and make some edits, and I kind of made some slow progress, and it kind of gets you in a groove to where you're like, oh, now I've done 3 pages, I'm good, like I've made progress. And that's helped me kind of conquer some of that in itself. I don't know if that advice is even unsolicited or not, might help you out in that sense too, but it is super difficult to like have that mental discipline. Sometimes it's extremely
Yeah.
challenging, and it's you're definitely not alone in that universe as well. Like plenty of us are
Oh,
right
yeah.
there with you.
Yeah, I pretty much have to make little to-do lists and then split those little to-do lists into like three little tasks or whatever, and then hide the other lists on myself so that way I don't get overwhelmed and then go take a nap about it.
Yes.
I mean, last night I was up rearranging my entire office at like from 10 to 2 in the morning, and then got up again at 7 to finish rearranging the office. And now I got to put everything back up on the walls and decorate again. So,
Yep. Yeah, I feel you too much on that one as well. Yeah, it's interesting being a creator and trying to find ways to be productive and to ways to not burn out, but also make progress on things. It's such a weird balance that you battle with yourself, with things in your head, with like what's going on in the world, with distractions, all sorts of stuff. And so creating, it's an obstacle, I think, for all of us, that until we find what works best for our personal needs and brains, it's just a mystery until we hack that. And the way things are now, everything can distract you in a moment. um,
oh, yeah.
but this is super cool to hear because you have collaborative projects, you have a goal that you're setting for yourself to work on this as well, and then you do your merch designs and like tattoo work on the side as well. It seems like you're a very active and creative person. Like, is there anything else like inside your world or realms, especially with comics, that you're planning for this year, like maybe convention appearances, kickstarters, or anything?
Oh yeah, I'll be at Cherry Capital Comic Con. I'm pretty much there every year. And I also be at the Midland Mall convention. I have a couple of illustrations and short comics out there, mostly through Source Point Press. I have an illustration in Butts and Seats by Dirk Manning. So usually we run into each other at the same convention. So if somebody goes and buys the book, he sends them over to get it signed or whatever, which is pretty cool. And then JC and I have a short comic called Void Cat, which was part of an anthology for Source Point Press. It was Dandy Presents Penny Dreadfuls.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so we ended up with a little anthology in there, and it was pretty cool. And we were the first ones to send our book in, so we got the ash can, and I bought out a bunch of those, and I think I ran out of the last of those finally last year.
Dude, that's awesome. I love hearing all that. Especially like a productive creator like yourself. It seems like you always have something to be working on at that point or promoting. How'd you get involved with SourcePoint? I'm super curious about that.
Knowing a lot of friends that work for SourcePoint, like Dirk and Travis, and just kind of running into everybody that that works for them in some way or another as an editor or as an artist or a writer. Um, and one time they posted like the competition for the Dandy Presents Penny Dreadfuls. So I wrote up a little synopsis for a story pitch and sent it in. Needed a teammate because I couldn't enter alone, so I tagged my friend JC, see if she wanted to join us. And it was for LGBT creators. So I figured, like, the two of us, we could enter, and we ended up being one of the three teams that were picked. So that was pretty cool. And with the illustration for Butts and Seats, it was just, happened to be a friend of Dirk's. And, he usually reaches out to different friends and, fellow artists and stuff that if he wants like an illustration or whatever for a book. And so I got to do that one.
Dude, that's cool. I mean, again, I've told this to other people too. Is like just networking. I mean, that's really where you're
Yeah.
going to find so much success. Is just going up to people, meeting them, hanging out after conventions, and seeing where people are at, and just making conversation and socializing, or even at booths, just talking and getting info. People will recognize you after time, and then just knowing that you kind of getting into those circles. That's where you're going to lead to find more success and find more work and stay busy as a creator. So again, kudos to you on everything you've been doing, and from networking to creating to finding opportunities to creating opportunities for yourself. That's really like what indie creators need to be doing and on the forefront, like in the battlegrounds, just finding those opportunities and finding those people to talk to, because you never know where it's going to lead you. And I mean, all these anthologies you've named, I mean, awesome stuff. I've come across a couple of them, either through posts, or I know other people that have been like submitting or involved with it. So it's super cool that you're in that little circle as well. It's super rad to hear everything you've been doing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And realizing that when you go to a convention, even if you're socially awkward, not very good at talking to people, which I definitely am, um, it definitely helps when you finally realize that like the people that you're talking to, that you're kind of looking up to, are also as socially awkward or were that bad at one point in time. So it does make it a little bit easier.
Dude, 100%. I feel that so much too. I seem very social on the shows and everything, but it takes a lot to break out and to go out there and talk to people in person, virtually, whatever. So we're all again with you in that boat. Seth, this has been an awesome, really interesting spotlight, and I feel like it was one that I've related to the most. So thank you for all that. I also needed that reassurance on some of these things. So, do you have any last shout outs, or and direct people to like an online store before we sign off today?
Oh yeah, I'm on. I have an online shop on Store Envy. Just even if you just Google Goblin Grimm gifts, and it's Grimm with two M's, it'll pop up. It'll be on Store Envy, so that's my main shop. Um, I'm also here on YouTube. I'm on TikTok. Everything is under Goblin Grimm or Goblin Grimm One. Easy enough to find. I keep all my branding pretty consistent. Um, I'll shout out JC. See you later on TikTok, even though she's almost at 2 million followers. She's got quite a following, but I'll shout her out because she's my boss lady, and she's a friend. So And there's a bunch of other creators on there that I've been doing little collaborations with and working with. Like Jordan is on the internet, Bama Two Dads. Um, there's so many of them, and I shout them out pretty often on my page and stuff. And we're always working together doing little collabs. Um, Other than that, I don't really know.
Oh, awesome, dude. That's a good list in itself, dude. So, Seth, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for stepping in the spotlight and congrats on everything you've accomplished so far, man. I'm really super psyched for you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, we'll see you next time.